Hello class, and welcome to this tutorial on how to find the greatest common factor. And sometimes greatest common factor, since it starts with a G, common starts with a C, and factor starts with an F, sometimes it is referred to as the GCF. So a lot of times in class I'll ask you to find the GCF, and so you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the greatest common factor. So let's talk about what greatest common factor is. But first, it's important to know that the skill that you learned in the last video, and we talked a little bit more about in class today, finding factors, was really important for you to have to be able to find the greatest common factor. So I think you'll find that if you paid attention and you understood about what factors were, that this video or this skill should come pretty easily. And if you're struggling on finding factors, make sure talk with a parent, an older sibling, or to talk with me at school or some classmates at your group to make sure that you get caught up on that, and so this will be a lot easier. So, alright, greatest common factor. So let's think about what this means. Well, greatest is a synonym for least. No, it's an antonym for least. Greatest is a synonym for largest. Common basically means the same. And factor, we know, is a number that multiplies evenly into another number. Okay? So greatest common factor then is where we're looking for the largest number that multiplies into another number that's the same. Okay, so that might not make complete sense yet, but I think it will once we start to practice. So let's take a look at the steps for finding the greatest common factor of two or more numbers. First step is to find all the factors of each number. Okay, so let me give you a few numbers to practice with. Let's try 8 and 12. Okay, let's go ahead and do step 1. Let's find all the factors of each number. Okay, so this is a skill that we should know how to do now. Let's find the factors of 8. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find all the factors of 8, and then on pause and see how you did. Okay, hopefully you found the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4, and since 4 is half of 8, we know the next one is the final one, and it is 8. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and try to find the factors of 12. Alright, hopefully you came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 6 is half of 12, so we know the next one is 12. And we can always go back and make sure we have all the factors by finding the pairs. 3 pairs up with 4, 2 pairs up with 6, and 1 pairs up with 12. Okay, I'm going to erase these though, so they're not in our way while we try to find greatest common factor. Okay, so we've found all the factors of 8. We've found all the factors of 12. Now we need to try to find the GCF, or the greatest common factor, of 8 and 12. So in other words, we're trying to find the largest, which is the same as greatest, trying to find the largest factor that both 8 and 12 have in common. That's where we get greatest common factor, right here. So we've done the first step. We've found all the factors of each number. Now let's talk about the second step. Okay, and I'm going to need to put those back up here, 8 and 12. Okay, so those were 1, 2, 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Okay, so we've already done step 1, which is to find all the factors of each number. And now step 2, as you can see here, says to circle the factors that they have in common. The factors they have in common. So let's look at all the factors of 8 and all the factors of 12 and circle the ones they have in common. They have 1 in common, they have 2, and they have 4, and that looks like it's it. There are no more that they have in common. So then the last question we need to ask ourselves is which out of the factors that they have in common, 1, 2, and 4, which is the greatest? And that answer, of course, is simple, and it's 4. And so what we've just done is we've already done step 3 right here, which says identify the greatest factor they have in common, and you found the GCF. So we found that the greatest common factor, or the GCF, greatest common factor of 8 and 12 is 4. It's the largest factor. Remember, largest is the same as greatest. It's the greatest or largest factor that they have in common. So the greatest common factor of 8 and 12 is 4. And there's our answer. Okay? Now I'm going to ask you to try one. If you're stuck, just rewind the video, go back to the part that you need to rewatch again, to rethink about, or maybe you just need to hear it again or see it again, and then go ahead and try the ones that I give for you to try on your own. Let's try to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 20. Okay, pause the video, find all the remember to go through the steps. Find all the factors of 12, find all the factors of 20. Step 2, circle all the ones they have in common. And then step 3 is just identifying the factor they have in common that is the largest or the greatest. And then you'll have found the GCF, or greatest common factor. Alright, go ahead and pause and give it a try and come back and see how you did. Okay, the factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. The factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. Alright, let's see what they have in common. 1, 2, 4, and that looks like it's it. So the greatest common factor of 12 and 20 is 4, which was the same as the greatest common factor for 8 and 12. Alright, let's try one more. Let's see if you can find the greatest common factor of 16 and 24. Alright, pause the video and give it a shot, then come back and see how you did. Alright, so we have the factors of 16 are 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16. The factors of 24 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. Alright, and the ones that they have in common are 1, 2, 4, 8, and that looks like it's it. So the greatest common factor of 16 and 24 is 8. Okay, that's about it for greatest common factor. Hopefully you saw through our last 2 lessons that almost every lesson in math is a skill that you're going to then use in another way. So it's really important to always be trying your best, really staying focused, asking questions, because the better job that you do of that, the less that you'll feel behind and the less that you'll not understand as we move more and more through our math lessons throughout the school year. So always make sure to be looking for help if you need it. Okay, that's it for this one. Underneath the video, on our Edmodo page there will be some directions for a follow-up task for you to do. Make sure that you read that and come to school ready with it tomorrow to check over together with your group and together as a class. Alright, thanks for watching and doing your best.